6 years ago today. 9 people lost their lives after a white supremacist attacked Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. We all remember this. We were working, Vlad.
Yep.
The church's pastor was among those who was shot and killed. CBSN contributor and South Carolina native Antjuan Seawright did an extensive interview with the current pastor, Eric Manning, and he believes things have gotten progressively worse in this country since the 2015 massacre.
What's been the feeling since that happened 6 years ago to the worship experience at Emmanuel?
So I always want to make sure that everyone understands I came to serve Mother Emanuel June 21st of 2016, so a year and some change after that. And I reflect upon the first Sunday I had serving Holy Communion, and I saw black hands, white hands, yellow hands, people from literally all over the world. And for a moment, a tear began to trickle down because I thought this is what heaven is going to be like. And that sentiment has continued to resonate within my spirit, allowing me to know that even in the face of all of the political turmoil, even in still the systemic racism that we are continuing to deal with day in and day out, that there is a hope. But as I said before, while we were talking a few moments ago, the act of forgiveness. And one thing that I love so much about the memorial plan is that though you have the fellowship benches, you have the fountain with Emmanuel 9 names on it, but in the back corner, there's a contemplation area. There's the cross that's there and a bench where people can contemplate their own acts of forgiveness. Right now, forgiveness doesn't necessarily ever excuse anyone for the act that they have done. You still have to, you still have the consequences for your actions. Same way as Dylan Roof. Forgiven, yes, but he has the consequences for his actions. But what forgiveness begins to say to us is that I'm no longer going to allow you to power over me. I'm going to release that. And if we can really get into, I would believe, if we can really help people usher into a season of forgiveness, then maybe we'll be in a better place.
Pastor, I know we touched earlier on what was going on 6 years ago and what happened here at Mother Emanuel, but there was a lot going on in the entire ecosystem. You think about uprising in Ferguson, Missouri. It was just a few weeks prior to that Walter Scott, a black man, was shot and killed by a white cop here in Charleston, South Carolina. We now know from some of Dylan Roof's manifesto, he was radicalized under the name of white supremacists, wanted to create a race war. Talk about the environment from your perspective then and how the environment has changed one way or another from then to now.
Yeah, so I think realistically, if I work backwards, the environment compared then to now, I think has actually gotten worse. It's almost as if white supremacists in that regard are emboldened. You think back a year ago, a little bit over a year ago with George Floyd. You think about all of the Black Lives Matter, the movement, bringing the awareness to systemic racism. You think about all of those things. And I realistically would, of course, deduce that it has not gotten better. It has progressively gotten worse. I pray that it will begin to change a little bit. I pray that we will begin to acknowledge people for being human beings, for being individuals, people created in the image of God. I pray that will happen. But when you have 4 years of unchecked rhetoric, 4 years of almost, I think people have used the term dog whistles in key terms, one group of people begin to become emboldened. And that's what we're seeing now.
Pastor, as we sit here in these sacred seats, we know that when the black church leads, America succeeds. The black church has always had a front row seat and both watching history and shaping history. We know the AME Church has probably been leading in those seats. Talk about the role of the Black church in helping shape and push us toward that more old perfect union that we read about in elementary school.
It's interesting, Antjuan, that you would even raise that question. One thing that we have noticed with the Black Lives Matter movement, it's a young person's movement. And last year, even here in Charleston, as I shared with a lot of the protesters, and I marched with them, I walked with them and talked with them, and I shared with them that it is not my desire to get in the way. My desire is to help you along and provide any type of wisdom or guidance that we can. And just to be there to let them know that we have their back.
Pastor, you mentioned earlier in our conversation that things have gotten progressively worse since 2015. You have keyboard thugs, what I call them, who are unapologetic about what they do online. You have some who actually put those things into action.
Sure.
And we've seen those things increase since 2015. But I still believe in hope. I still believe in love.
Sure.
I still believe in change. What do you feel is going to be the magic that will unlock hope, love, change, progress toward that more perfect union?
Yeah, so I will give you my quick response for that. In churches, in our relationships with God, we have always had revivals. What we need in this country is a long-lasting revival, a return to understanding that we are all created in the image of God, a return to understanding that everyone has a voice and everyone's voice should be heard. And when we begin to meet each other on the basis of our humanity, and when we allow that revival to kick in and say, no longer is it going to be about political affiliation, no longer is it going to be about sound bites, no longer is it going to be about vain and empty tweets. It's going to be something about how can I help my neighbor, whomever my neighbor may be, how can I help ensure that he or she has a better life? How can I make sure that my children, my children's children, have a better life? So every morning when we wake up, it becomes a day of hope, it becomes a day of thanksgiving, and it becomes a day of reflection and doing the best that we can do to bring all of God's children together. And I think realistically, as I said before, some may say, well, Pastor, that's a pastorally response. And yeah, it is. But I believe that God has equipped us for such a time as this.
With that, the AME Church says amen.
Amen.